And the Inter-Party Advisory Council, the umbrella body of registered political parties in Nigeria, has called for fair play even as major political parties prepare for the primaries. Chairman of Ipac, YABAGI Sani, made this known in a statement in the wake of President Muhammadu Buhari's instructions for political appointees seeking office to resign. Ipac also reaffirms its stance against the proposal by the anti-narcotic agency, the NDLEA, that political parties should make drug integrity tests part of the screening requirement for aspirants seeking to contest political positions in the 2023 general election.
And to discuss this further, we're now being joined by the chairman of Inter-Party Advisory Council, Ipac, Engineer YABAGI Sani. Thanks so very much for joining us.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, quite a number of developments in the political milieu, and I'm sure Ipac is really keeping tab with your, presser that you issued. And how does Ipac see the directive from the president that all, political appointees seeking political office or contest in the 2023 general elections should leave his cabinet?
Well, I think Mr. President has done the right thing, because it beats one's imagination that those ministers were not really taking the country and their responsibilities in the proper perspective as far as seriousness is concerned. Because if you have an assignment, a national assignment, and you have not finished, rendering your service, and again you are engaging in something that will occupy, if not 100% of your time, what does that say? Are you saying that you do not really take your primary assignment, as something important? So I think Mr. President did the right thing by asking them to resign.
And some of them are doing quick U-turns.
Well, that is Nigerians for you, especially. Otherwise, you didn't need I don't think you should have. They should have waited for Mr. President to say resign. When, even although that is being contested, the electoral law itself says that if you are an appointee, a political appointee, and you want to seek political office, the honorable thing to do is to resign. The law of land says it, because whether or not some courts have given it different interpretation, but it's the law, until otherwise. So, for moral reasons, for reasons of your engagement, because Mr. President must have considered you, very, very loyal, and capable and committed before he appoints you to such positions.
Right, and of course he went beyond that. He held the valedictory session really for some of them who are going out, even though some now are beginning to withdraw even, their ambitions as it stands. How the president handles that is up to Mr. President. Well, let's talk about another issue which Ipac had raised. I know that you were at the INEC headquarters to meet with the chairman to really complain about the timetable. You said the timing is too short, and INEC said no, they would not do it at that time. But looking at the realities and, as the date draws closer, looking at that 4th of June deadline given to political parties, do you think that date is realistic? Or should INEC really reconsider your appeal?
Well, I think INEC and Ipac, believe you me, were like a chicken and egg. We take the job very seriously, meaning that both INEC and Ipac are committed to entrenching democracy and ensuring that 2023 is a huge success, in the annals of the political history of this country. And that is why, after, what happened was that the INEC chairman, when we got to the consultative engagement quarterly, which we normally have with INEC, normally he will deliver his address. And it's after he delivered his address and mentioned the issue of timing, the time frame given for the election. That's why we now, told him that it's too short, because of not only, to give the parties time to meet the requirement, but because of the legal implications. There are legal implications that we don't want either INEC or ourselves to be exposed to. You know, because if you look at the electoral law says 30 days to the primaries, you must submit your register, both in soft copy and hard copies, and I'm not sure that has been met by many parties yet. You know, so there is legal implication. It's not an issue of saying parties, you know, do not want to follow INEC guidelines.
Well,
or things
the
like that.
submission of names of registered parties is going to do the country and the political parties real good, instead of some that are just banding.
Yeah, all sorts of figures.
All sorts of figures and the rest. So I think that's germane. But another issue here that may not really throw the works of INEC, you know, in the spans is the National Judicial Council, or the Federal High Court, the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court is coming up with a new practice direction to avoid, you know, the myriad or the plethora of cases, adjudications on one matter from one jurisdiction to the other. Don't you think that that too is going to kind of bring some sanity in the electoral process in Nigeria?
I think it should. You know, I mean, that's why I said every stakeholder, major stakeholder in this process is really concerned about how can we get this journey, you know, and the entrenchment of democracy in this country right. How do we ensure that 2023 is it's a huge, you know, political democratic, you know, success. And that's why the judiciary, the executive, you know, the legislative arm, Ipac, you know, all of us, when we say extend the date, the time frame, it's not for the luxury of it. It's not that we are not, as it is today, all parties are doing everything that INEC says we should do. Yeah. You know, so it's not that we've taken INEC for granted. Not at all. You know, all of us are busy trying to see how we can meet that deadline. But we realize the fact that you have enough time. You know, we can still extend it by, even if it's just by 1 month, then that would allow parties, you know, to really do it right, and then ensure that at the end of the day, we do not create a unnecessary crisis, you know, for INEC or for ourselves, or even for our members. Because if for any reason, you know, we are found, you know, on the wrong side of the law, it will affect even everybody will be affected. So this is the reason why, you know, you mentioned the issue of the NDLEA that says, that says the political parties, I mean, should be subjected to some test, you know,
some drug test.
Yeah. Well, I think that is an overarching, you know, in terms of what the NDLEA,
the function of the NDLEA.
Yes, I think so, because when you do that, the image of the leadership of this country that you are portraying to the outside world is not what we want to portray.
It's a suggestion at the end of the day.
We
have to say thank you so much, Chairman of Inter-Party Advisory Council, YABAGI Sani. Thank you for joining us tonight on the program.